Hey everyone, it's Tom with an early analysis of the Dark Souls Remaster on Nintendo Switch. Now thanks to the recent Nintendo Direct, we have a short teaser of what's to come, and while it's not a lot to go on, close scrutiny of every frame does give us some details on what to expect of the handheld, from its true native resolution, visual improvements, right down to even early details of its performance. But first, the basics. Straight from Bandai Namco itself, the remaster is promising improved graphics on Switch, PS4, Xbox One and PC. All will include the Artorias of the Abyss DLC right out of the box, and now you get up to 6 players online, improving on the original's limit of 4. And of course, unique to the Switch version is the amiibo support. With all that said, a bit more digging reveals the technical ambitions of the Switch conversion. For starters, the publisher's webpage lists this Switch version as 1080p when connected to a TV and 720p while in portable mode. And sure enough, very close scrutiny of the Nintendo Direct trailer proves it. Every clip of gameplay here is a native 1920 by 1080. That extends to the HUDs and text too, all of which amounts to a big upgrade over the original Xbox 360 version running here. If you cast your minds back to Dark Souls' original 2011 release, the game ran at under 720p on Xbox 360 and PS3, cutting the horizontal resolution to 1024 by 720. So the claim the Switch version is a remaster has credibility, based at least on the raw pixel counts. At a native 1080p while docked, you're getting a 2.8 times increase over the last gen versions, and based on Bandai Namco's spec sheet, this is what the base PS4 and Xbox One versions will be running at too. If the footage turns out to be accurate, that's a great turnout for Switch. Factor in the chance to play Dark Souls on a portable console for the first time, and there's already a lot going for the Switch remaster. Great stuff. Now there have been rumours circulating that this remaster will be based on the Dark Souls 3 engine, bringing its visuals and sound design up to speed with the latest series entry. It'd be a first for Switch if true, given the engine was built to target Sony and Microsoft's much more powerful systems, with an improved lighting model, effects and polygon counts. But in truth, there's no evidence from this trailer we're seeing any kind of engine overhaul. The lighting, effects quality and even textures are very much a direct match for what we had on last gen systems. To prove that, here's that Switch gameplay again in comparison with the original 360 version. You'll have to forgive some compression from the Nintendo Direct feed, however, slowing it down massively does show a lot of the original Dark Souls assets are making a return, pretty much untouched. Admittedly, it's only a brief few snippets of gameplay, but for Switch at least, the visual design falls very close to the last gen standard, only now with a resolution bump to 1080p. With that being said, there is one visual change I did catch. Looking close at the shading technique in this matching cutscene, Switch adds pockets of shade to the nearby building and under the gargoyle's wing. Compared to the 360 original, which goes without the effect here, it's reason to suggest ambient occlusion has been added or at least tweaked since its original release. Either way, it's a good sign the game isn't just landing on Switch with a res boost. Change is afoot, subtle as it may be, and we'll see the extent of it once the beta lands ahead of the game's full May 25th launch. For now though, ambient occlusion is a likely and affordable upgrade given the hardware at hand. Now whether or not Switch's docked mode visuals stay intact when moving to the 720p handheld mode is another matter, but for docked play this is the sharpest version we've seen running on console to date. As for the Dark Souls 3 engine rumour, well it's possible something more ambitious is planned on PS4 and Xbox One. No footage has been shown of those so far, but at the very least, you'd hope texture quality could be overhauled for these higher spec systems given the memory available to them. But there's another wrinkle to this. Based on a product listing by the Australian Video Games Classifications Twitter account, the Switch remaster is being developed by Virtuous. Now Virtuous has a reputation for porting all sorts of games this generation, and often with mixed results. If true, it's hard to believe Dark Souls visuals will go entirely untouched. Consider their track record. This is the studio that brought LA Noire to Switch, with a host of visual tweaks to suit the platform. Dynamic resolution, upgraded textures, and altered ambient occlusion are among the plus points there. It had pretty rough performance admittedly, but on Switch there's very little like it in terms of open world complexity. It's a flawed port, but the point is a serious effort was made to distinguish it from the original PS3 release. Then there's Final Fantasy X HD, another Virtuous joint, a game which controversially added new character models and textures for its PS3 release, and on PS4 even added ambient occlusion. And of course, the Batman Return to Arkham Remaster on PS4 showed that again, extensively reworking its character models. Now, given the reaction to these changes are mixed, it's perhaps a good sign that Dark Souls Remaster appears more of a conservative effort based on this trailer. It's the game you remember at its core, but the fact is, this is a team that doesn't necessarily settle for just upping the resolution and calling it a day. Putting visuals aside, I'd like to talk on frame rate. Now I've only limited footage to work from here, and it's worth stressing this may be a work in progress build with plenty of improvements in line for the final code. But working through each frame of the feed, Switch appears to have a lot in common with the last gen versions. For starters, the game's bandwidth sapping effects hit frame rates to the low 20s. On top of that, the 30 FPS cap does show the almost trademark frame pacing issues of those versions and even later games in the series on console. The good news for PS4 and Xbox One users is, this remaster is promising to run at 60 FPS on those systems, completely bypassing the need for a cap and also these frame pacing issues. But on Switch, it looks like it's inheriting that same issue at 30 FPS. And now the hope is Switch will take all of this and put in much better performance than at least the original 360 version. I mean, check out this original footage on Microsoft's last gen machine. It's clear alpha transparencies and large bosses are a big issue. To see areas like Blighttown run fluidly on console will be a first, given not even a mighty Xbox One X can entirely avoid these drops. If this remaster's performance has been retooled for Switch and the other consoles, if that's a focus, then that goes a long way to justifying another purchase of the game. So, evidence so far suggests a native 1080p with only a few touch-ups in ambient occlusion, but if Switch can target and hold 30 FPS all while playing in portable mode, then we're on to a winner. Anyway, that's all from me for now. If you'd like to see more analysis of Dark Souls in future, please let me know with a like or subscribe, and feel free to check out this video on our Patreon at digitalfoundry.net. But until next time, thanks for watching.